This is Algebra 1, Unit 3, Lesson 2, Graphing Using a Table of Values. So we're going to graph this line by choosing some points on the line. So what we're going to do is create what we call a table of value. So we randomly choose some values for x. We're going to substitute those values into the equation and see what our y value is. Usually, as a general rule, you're going to choose a negative, 0, and a positive number. You want at least 3 points to make sure that you graphed correctly. And usually want to use something that's not going to get you a decimal if possible. I can see that I'm going to take half of x. So I'm going to stick with even numbers so that I don't end up with a decimal. So here's some numbers I chose, -4. So I'm going to replace x with -4. So I say y equals 1/2 times -4 minus 4. So I get y equal half of -4 is -2 minus 4. So in that case, y is going to be -6. I'm going to put that in my table of values. Then I chose -2, so I say y equals 1/2 -2 minus 4. So that gives me y equals -1 minus 4, or y equals -5. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my table of values. Let's do 0. 0 is always a good one to choose. So I have y equals 1/2 times 0 minus 4. Y equals 0 minus 4, or y equals -4, and we'll put that in my table of values. And then the last one I chose for this problem is 6. So I'm going to say y equals 1/2 times 6 minus 4. Y equals half of 6 is 3 minus 4. Y equals -1. So now we have 4 points we can graph on the coordinate plane, and on Wednesday you'll be practicing graphing. Hopefully you're familiar with that. So let's go ahead and graph these points. Remember, left, right is your x value. To the right is positive, to the left is negative, up, down is your y value. If you go up, that's positive. If you go down, that's negative. So the first point I'm going to graph is -4, -6. So from the origin, from 0, 0, the x is negative, so I'm going to go to the left 4, and then I'm going to go down 6, because the y is a negative. So that's our first point. From the origin, I'm going to go -2, -5, right there. From the origin, I'm going to go 0, and then I'm going to go down 4, right there. And the last point, my x value is a +6, so I'm going to go over 6 to the right, and then I'm going to go down 1, and it's right there. And let me clean that up a little bit. I think I bumped a few things. Okay. We had 6, -1. And if we did it correctly, it should give us a nice straight line, and there you go. Okay, next example. It's not in y equals format, and that's why we've been practicing how to put an equation in y equals format. So that's the first thing we want to do. It's going to make our work easier. So we know how to get this into y equals format. We've been practicing that in class. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of that 6x. So I'm going to subtract 6x from each side. Boom, that 6x is gone. Our goal is to get that y all by itself. I want that x first. We're getting ready to graph in something called slope-intercept form, and that x needs to be first. So I'm going to go ahead and put that x first. I'm allowed to do that as long as a sign goes with it. So it's -6x. The 12 is positive, so I'm going to say plus 12. And then we know we have to get rid of that -2. It's multiplication, so to get rid of multiplication, we're dividing everything by -2. Negative divided by negative is going to give us a +3x. Positive 12 divided by -2 gives us -6. And now it's going to be a little bit easier to get our table of values. So y equals 3x minus 6. Let's go ahead and substitute those points. Again, usually you choose a -0 and a positive. Okay, so I chose -1, so I get y equals 3 I'm going to substitute negative 1 in for x. So I get negative 3 minus 6, or negative 9. So I put a negative 9 here. We're going to do it again with a 0. Y equals 3 times 0 minus 6. Y equals 0 minus 6, or y equals negative 6. Let's put a 1 and a 3 in there. We'll have a nice set of data to graph. Y equals 3 in place of x. I'm going to put a 1 minus 6. Y equals 3 minus 6, or y equals negative 3. And last one, positive 3. Y equals 3 times 3 minus 6. Y equals 9 minus 6, or y equals 3. All right, it's time to graph. Here we go again. Let's change colors, make it a little bit more interesting. All right, from the origin, 0, 0, we're going to go, our x value is negative 1, so we're going to go 1 to the left and down 9 right there. And I better erase that so you don't think it's a point. From the origin, I go over 0, down 6 right there. From the origin, I go over 1, down 3 right there. And finally, from the origin, I go to the right 3 and up 3 right there, and boom, we have a nice straight line. Last couple things I want to talk about are some unusual circumstances. What if you have a graph that's something like y equals 3? So this time I say, hey, put x equals negative 1 in, but you're saying, hey, wait a second, there is no x. You're exactly right. There is no x, so y stays 3. We don't care. Is x 0? Sure, it can be 0. We still have y as 3. How about x equals 1? We know what the answer is. Y is going to be 3. Any number we choose for x, our y stays 3. So what would a graph of y equals 3 look like? Let's find out. So from the origin, we're going to go negative 1 up 3. Boom, there's our first point. From the origin, over 0 up 3. From the origin to the right 1 up 3, and over 3 up 3. And there you have it. What would the graph y equals 3 look like? It's a horizontal line that goes through the y-axis at positive 3. And the last one I want to talk about is, what does an x equal look like? So this one, we have to be a little bit tricky. We have to say, hey, we're going to choose values of y. So just like the one we did before, y equals negative 1, what? It doesn't change anything. There is no y in the equation, so x still is negative 4. No matter what we choose, x is going to be negative 4. So let's take a look what this would look like. So from the origin, I'm going to go my x, which is negative 4, and then down 1. And then from the origin, I'm going to go negative 4 and up 0. From the origin, negative 4, up 1, and negative 4, up 1, 2, 3. Boom, there you go. And there's our straight line we were hoping for. And so now you can see what x equals would look like. If you see the equation x equals, in this case it's negative 4, it's going to be a vertical line. It's going to go through the x-axis. In this case, it's going to go through at negative 4. Please try the practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.